The NXT Tag Team titles appear to have just been vacated. I am Luke and this is Chopper Pete Quinnell, and over there is Andy Datson, who's going to be monitoring your super chats, and this is the post NXT edition of WrestleRamble. Yes, Laurie's not here today. Laurie has got the same illness that Ollie had on Monday and the same illness I had over the weekend that has kind of put a lot of us out of commission. So Pete has stepped in.
And the same illness that I haven't got yet.
Oh, so it's on its way.
Please don't. I don't want to take any more time off.
Look, dude, I'm annoyed that I don't take time off from this job, and I got ill on one of my days off. The bloody weekends.
Of course.
Everyone else gets ill during the week. They get a day off work. Me, no, bloody Saturday.
Selfish.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the post-NXT WrestleRamble, which is sponsored by our own bloody magazine. Go ahead and buy our own bloody magazine. It's bloody terrific. It features excellent articles in there, including the women's top 50. But we're going to kick things off talking about the NXT Tag Team title situation. Now, last week we saw the Forgotten Sons attack the War Raiders. Prior to that, we saw the Street Profits kind of take the Viking Raiders. Take the Viking Raiders to their utmost.
To the limit?
To the limit. That's the word I was after. Thank you very much, Pete. It's why you're here.
Yep.
Took them to the limit. And this week, the Viking Raiders came out and said, the Kabuki Warriors came out and said, hey, no one can beat us. And I thought they were getting some fairly heel heats for this as well.
They were.
I mean, they're heels up on Raw and on Raw rather, but they've been very much baby faces in NXT. But they were kind of healing it up slightly, but also getting heel reactions from the crowd.
Absolutely, and I found it curious. I don't know at what point these episodes were taped. At what point was the name change apparent for these ones? Was it already Viking Raiders before this one was taped? Or do you think
it was. Yeah, so they had done the taping where they faced Street Profits.
Yes,
that was taped prior to their Raw debut. So they were still War Raiders on that show.
Right,
but this was the latest set of tapings since after they debuted and they got the new name.
Would they have been Viking Experience at the time of they taped this, or Viking Raiders?
Viking Raiders, I think. So it says Viking Raiders on the Tron when they come out.
But that's what I mean, though. On the Raw, they would have been Viking Experience / Raiders. I'm just curious to see whether it was this crowd's first time of having the Viking Raiders name and then being like, and maybe that's why they were being a bit like, boo, you've got another name.
No, I think this had come out or been taped after that had happened. I think anyway.
Yeah.
Randy, if you can look into that for us, that'd be very helpful.
Okay. That'd be grand. Thanks, man. But I still think though that yes, they were getting some heel reactions, and I don't know whether that's anything to do with the main roster or something.
think it was more just because they were saying that we're vacating the belts.
Yeah,
I think people wanted to see a title change.
Absolutely, yeah, and I can understand the reaction of them being like, "No one can beat us. Here's the titles." Everyone goes, "Boo! We want someone to beat you on the way out. We want you to have a good match on the way out." But I think they were even getting slightly heel reactions even before they made that announcement, which was quite curious.
Yeah, essentially they were just like, we are. No one can beat us. We've beaten all there is. So we're just calling out William Regal. William Regal comes out and they just hand him the tag titles. Yeah. But before they can make it official, the Street Profits come down.
Big pop.
Big pop
and
I think it was when the Profits came out, I think this NXT crowd thought, okay, so Street Profits are going to be tag champs by the end of this taping.
Absolutely.
They're going to win those belts. And that was quite evident by the main event of this show as well. And the Street Profits says that, hey, we know, we lost the last time we faced, but we know we can beat you. And deep down, we can beat us, Viking Raiders. And then Angelo Dawkins pauses and says, if that is your real name.
Oh, what a great line. What a great line.
The crowd, oh.
Really loved it. I put in my notes, in all capitals, Angelo Dawkins, lad. Just for that. Loved it. It was such a good moment.
And I thought, I like Angelo Dawkins, but I love me some Montez Ford. I thought Ford was awesome. And they really goaded the Raiders into giving them the match.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the Raiders take back their belts and they demand William Regal make the match. And William Regal makes the match for later on that night. And Street Profits were super over.
They were really over. And I loved when he announced and he said, right, later tonight we're going to have The Viking Raiders defending their tag team championships against, and it kind of paused it for a second, the Street Profits, and Montez Ford celebrated like he'd already won the titles. Literally going around, it's like, come on,
it's like
yeah.
He cried.
He's nearly crying, like dancing around the ring. It was like, you haven't won yet, mate. But yeah, no, it was great. Loved it.
We also had, I'm just trying to find where it is in my notes, because there's a moment when Kathy Kelly was standing outside William Regal's office to talk about something, and then
she confirmed it was Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler.
There it is, and the Forgotten Sons walk up. There it is. Found my notes now. And then the Forgotten Sons walk up. Forgotten Sons walk up and say, "How have the Street Profits stolen our NXT tag team title shots?"
Mm-hmm.
That's fair enough.
Which is
you beat up the War Raiders last week.
Yeah.
And you didn't lose to a tag match to them.
Exactly.
You were the finalist in the Dusty. But the Street Profits were knocked out first round.
Yeah,
you guys
exactly.
made it to the final.
Yeah, they've got a legitimate grievance.
They said, and then I think it was Cutler was like, "We've been forgotten again."
Classic.
And and then Jackson was like, "And we'll make sure they never forget us." And I'm like, this forgotten thing gets hammered home a bit too much.
It's a little bit much, isn't it?
And that's when I turn off a little bit on the Forgotten Sons, because I'm turning a corner on them, and I thought they were actually had a really good showing in the Dusty Classic, and I've been kind of enjoying a lot of their work, and I like their intensity, and I really like Jackson Riker. But then when they're given these sort of promo things where they're like, "We will not be forgotten," I'm like, "Man, come on, guys!
You're on every week's show. You're clearly not that forgotten."
It's just hammering home the point, and not doing it very subtly.
Exactly,
it's like a giant hammer and a giant nail.
Exactly, yeah.
Bit much. But then we got our main event, which I thought was a heck of a lot of fun, but you did not see this finish coming.
Because I'm an idiot. It was so obvious that the Forgotten Sons were going to come out and interrupt. But I don't know what part of me in my brain was just being like, I just forgot that segment happened. And I just thought, Street Profits are going to be tag champs at the end of this episode. Way! Awesome! So I was getting really into this match. I loved it. The small time they had, I absolutely loved it. Yeah. But I was just an idiot, because I definitely should have seen this finish coming.
I don't think you're an idiot for it. It just really made me laugh when you came in this morning. You were like, "Yep, I'm an idiot." Don't know how I didn't see that coming. They literally telegraphed it earlier in the show.
It really did. It was so obvious.
But yeah, this match was very, very high octane, very high pace. A lot like the match they had a couple of weeks ago. Only this time it's kind of flipped round, whereas the Street Profits got the early advantage on the Raiders last time by attacking them during their entrance. The Raiders were kind of like ready for it because they did the big introduction, and they just went to town on these guys. And it led to, this match didn't go that long.
No.
I'd say probably what, 5
minutes?
6 minutes? Yeah, exactly, if that. And then, but in that, they had like multiple near falls.
Yeah.
A heat
so
spot,
good.
Some hot tags. It was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it was astounding what they managed to fit into that.
And I love the dueling cartwheels that Dawkins and Hansen did. I thought that was so good. They had the moment where the Raiders were like really on top, and they set up to do the Viking Experience finisher. Dawkins bowls in and spears Row out the way, and I was like, "Oh my, this is amazing!"
Yep.
And then Montez Ford hits that frog splash.
For about 17 miles in the air.
Ludicrous. I don't know how he does it.
It is insane how much height he gets.
He's got legs made of springs that are like tight.
Yeah. And I don't get, it was even earlier when they do their big pop-up slam thing. They threw up Montez Ford, and again, he went up into the sky and back. It's like, he can't be that light. Like, my God, like, it threw him up into the atmosphere before he came back down.
I think he is 30% helium.
He must be. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Definitely got some helium in his body at some point, because he flies around like no one's business.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But then, the Forgotten Sons come down and cause the DQ. Boo.
Boo, hiss.
And then the Raiders kind of wipe everyone out, and Hansen does a big flip dive off the apron onto the Forgotten Sons. Like Rowe grabs Ford by the throat.
He screams.
And he just goes, "Ah!" It was really, really great.
It was amazing. So funny.
But then the Street Profits hit their sort of like big neck breaker doomsday device thing.
Blockbustery thing, whatever it is. Yep.
And they count their own pin.
Yeah.
Effectively pinning the War Raiders after the bell had already rung. And you got Nigel going like, "Oh, it was a fast count anyway. It wasn't a legitimate pin. The bell's already rung." And then you had, because you also had, within all this melee, you had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch run out as well, to kind of and they were having this big old scuffle. But oddly, at least I found oddly, once the Street Profits had done their bit and left the ramp, the War Raiders just wiped everyone out.
Yeah. for some reason.
Yeah, they just hit all their big moves and like killed the Forgotten Sons and killed Birch and Lorcan, and then just laid down the belts, bowed to the crowd, and the show went off the air.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can only think of 2 examples now in NXT. And if you can think of anything else, please do let us know. Actually, I think I've thought of another one. Do let us know in the comments of someone who has gone up to the main roster but had been put over this strong before going up. So Asuka went up undefeated.
Of course, yeah, undefeated and had to vacate a women's championship.
And Lars Sullivan, because Sullivan beat Keith Lee on like his last night in NXT. They taped it before, I can't remember which takeover it was now, the January one. And Sullivan beat Keith Lee on NXT TV.
Yeah.
And then you got the War Raiders, Viking Raiders, going up to the main roster, not losing the NXT tag titles, and like killing 2 big teams from the tag team division on the way out. It's very, very weird.
So strange to me because I get character-wise that the Forgotten Sons have a grievance and they'd want to. Did you just spill that all over yourself?
Well, no, I spilled it on the floor.
That's impressive. I get as
I'm also an idiot.
Character-wise, Forgotten Sons would want to interrupt this match because they should be owed a championship shot and yada yada and all that stuff. If you're gonna have the Viking Raiders go up to the main roster, and you're gonna have the Street Profits visually pin them after the match, let them pin them. Like, just let them win.
Yeah.
Just let them win the belts. I don't see the point of having a screwy finish and then the Street Profits getting a visual pin and then the War Raiders getting their heat back afterwards. It's just all this crisscrossing storytelling. It's like, what's the actual point of this? Who goes over after this? Like,
it's one of those rare missteps in NXT.
Yeah.
Where by the end of the angle, I was left a bit cold by the whole thing. Because I'm there looking, I was like, well, okay, when the Street Profits, they got the visual pin, so that's great. So they got their quote win over the Raiders. That's fine. But if you're now trying to push Birch and Lorcan or the Forgotten Sons into a tag title scene, I'm like, well, they just got beaten up.
Yeah.
Like, and they just and they had the advantage more or less. Like, they all got laid to waste. So and I'm not saying that they should have just buried the Raiders as they went out.
No, absolutely not.
But I as you said, like, if you're going to give the Street Profits that big moment, why not have them win the titles on this show and then build to another tag match down the road? Build something with the Forgotten Sons where they're like, you stole that. Like, those should be our titles. You shouldn't have had that match in the first place. We've been once again forgotten, and we should have this shot now. And you can build a little feud coming out of that. At the moment, I don't think the Forgotten Sons came off this looking particularly great.
No, it's weird because there's 3 of them, and they come out and interrupt this match. The Street Profits go off and do their thing. So now that's the 3 of them and the 2 Viking Raiders and the 2 of Lorcan and Birch who are all fighting together. You'd think they have an advantage. They have one more person than either of the other teams, and then they just get wiped out by the Viking Raiders anyways. It's just like, it just came off a bit weird. The only other thing that I'm thinking is that they're not vacating the titles. They're still in NXT. It was a strange ending if they laid down the titles and bowed, but I mean, they did that as a sign of respect to Black and Ricochet at the last TakeOver. They laid the titles down and then they bowed to them. And I was like, right, that's the same thing they did before, but they're bowing to the crowd and they were heels, maybe? It was a strange thing. And I was like, but it just seems so sudden. If that was their last appearance, if they did actually vacate the titles and they're gone now, it seemed a bit strange for them to just be like, titles bow, cut off the air. You'd think they kind of have that moment for a bit longer of them putting the titles down, they get a round of applause from the crowd, celebrate with the crowd, give them a bow, and then they kind of walk off, and that would be the end. And they'll be like, oh, so they vacate the titles and they're off. Now I'm just like, have they? It was just a really abrupt ending for it to just be like, that's the end.
Yeah,
like,
it's not the worst show in the world. I mean, they said at the start of the show that we do want to vacate these titles, but you said like the celebration is not too dissimilar to the one they had at TakeOver New York.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it is just they haven't vacated the titles, but hence the question mark.
The question mark's there,
in this title. And, yeah, they are just going to carry on. So I don't know. I think it'll be very interesting leading towards TakeOver 25, where the tag title situation is. But if this is the Raiders' last night on NXT, I'm not hugely keen on them beating up. Because, like, Birch and Lorcan look like absolute jokes in all of this. Like they barely
did nothing.
They got nothing. They came down and just got beaten up. They were literally there just to be beaten up. At least the Forgotten Sons caused a DQ.
Exactly.
But even then, they, as you say, all three of them got wiped out by the Raiders. It felt very weird to me, and I felt quite cold by the end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I still love the Street Profits, and I did have a lot of fun while watching the match. I think I'd have just liked to have seen, I think I'd have loved to have seen a proper takeover match between Street Profits and Raiders.
Exactly.
Not two matches that we've had on NXT TV.
Exactly.
I think it'd been amazing.
If it wasn't for that ending of them laying the titles out and then bowing to the crowd, I literally put in my notes before that. I was like, oh, they're leading to a four-way at the takeover between the Raiders, Forgotten Sons, Street Profits, and Lorcan and Birch. And I was like, oh, that's a cool build they're doing because they're getting all the teams mixed up, and that's cool for the next takeover. But then they did the title thing, and I was like, or maybe not. I'm really confused now.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you want to have it spoiled, you can go read the spoiler updates, but we try to stay clear of those. Hence, if you're thinking, why don't these guys know? We know what, I think most of the lineup is already known for TakeOver 25. I think about all the matches known. Not reading the spoilers, we're trying to keep everything as spoiler-free as possible.
Absolutely.
I thought it was an odd way to cap off the show, but Randall Datson hit us up with some super chats.
I will. Unfortunately, I can't stay away from the spoilers because it's my job. But the Viking thing you were talking about earlier. So I think these shows were taped quite recently. So, but then the last tapings before that were the 10th of April, and the War Raiders or the Viking Experience debuted on the 15th of April.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I think they were still War Raiders up until now.
Yeah, so that match they had with the Profits a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
they were still War Raiders at that point, like they were announced as such. But then they did the tapings after they had their name changed to Viking Raiders.
Yeah. Right. Cool. And Super Chats, just a handful here. We've got Small Afro Games.
Jaron Walker.
I feel that if finishers didn't exist, match endings would be more unpredictable and shocking. It'd feel like a real fight that could end at any time. Yeah,
but I like finishers. Like, I've always liked a finisher, and I get your point, but I prefer... I don't think I'd ever want to get rid of finishers.
I feel like it builds up to it as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I wouldn't want to get rid of them. I can see your point of having the unpredictability of just not knowing when a match is going to end, and you could invest in pretty much every near fall within reason. But, no, finishers are too good. you can't get rid of finishers.
Also, I think finishers help people get over.
True. Yeah. Very true.
Actually, can I also just say to Jade Lai Roxon, can you please stop asking me to wear nothing but the WrestleTalk magazine, because that's not going to happen. Despite you asking me to every fifth message. But I'm sorry about that. Lucas Mildrum says, completely unrelated to NXT, but is anyone else getting sick of the Corey Byron arguments on commentary? Unmuted SmackDown was plain awful this week.
Yeah, we talked about this on the SmackDown review yesterday, but yeah, Corey and Byron arguing is, particularly when it's a Shane McMahon angle, is unlistenable. It's just bickering noise, and I can't be dealing with it.
Yeah, I think the only time that Byron's been good has been during the Kofi storyline in the build-up to Mania.
During the Kofi stuff.
During Kofi stuff has been great. Corey is fine when he's not bickering with Byron.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like, when they start telling Corey to have a go at Byron all the time, it's dreadful.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's no one enjoys that.
No. It's like when JBL used to belittle David Otunga all the time. Just, it's unlistenable stuff.
No, it's pointless.
William Buena, no message, but 2 little donations. So thank you
very much.
Arnie3444 says, I redact my Go Randy merch as he offended me as a Norwegian guy. Best regards, coolest guy ever. That is a reference to the fact that I said that Swedish people are the best, being Swedish.
You did.
It's just a rivalry that'll always be, I'm afraid.
And you're both Liverpool fans as well, so Arnie really should be on your side.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
You're not really though, are you? Are you?
Yes.
Let's move
I was
on.
about to go I almost went to Madrid.
It's not the Randy show. Let's move on.
Jobber JJ496 says Montez Ford for the WWE Championship. #Street Profits.
I've been saying this since day dot of them being together. I was like, that man right there is a future WWE champion.
Yeah.
I think Montez Ford is absolute money.
He's great.
I think he's so good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Although we were having a chat this morning when you were in the office, me and housemate Simon, about how we're slightly concerned. I mean, this goes for pretty much all NXT call-ups, really. But
True.
I'm more concerned for the profits than I am any other team or act in NXT going up to the main roster.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the sort of act that has its roots are in the right place and its heart is in the completely right place. And it is just their personalities blown up to 11. But as soon as you go to the main roster, they'll be like, what's the gimmick? They're African-American.
Crime time.
And they just do crime time.
Yeah.
And that's a real concern. Where they're just looking and be like, it's crime time again. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And that's completely not what their characters are.
Let's have them embarrass Lita on her way out the company.
God, that segment. That segment's bad.
Horrible.
So I think it'd be very, very unfair to the Profits to bring them up and just say like, you're now crime time again.
Yeah,
Do that.
exactly. Yeah.
That'd be awful.
The Cosmic Anvil has donated with no message other than
Thank
he
you.
did say to me earlier that he's no longer my fan. So
He did. He emailed
Nice.
in to say because you don't reply to any of his emails.
I've
nice.
literally never had an email from him.
Yeah,
like,
well.
It's probably because he emails to Randy at WrestleTalk.com rather than Andy.
.com. If it goes to my spam, that's probably just indicative of the messages you're sending. Matt Dennis says, seeing Andrade versus Balor was awesome as an NXT fan. Almost felt like a battle of NXT eras. Why doesn't commentary play up on people's NXT accomplishments more?
Well, it's quite an easy answer for that one. It's because Vince McMahon is telling them what to say and he doesn't care about NXT.
Yeah, so it's an audience of one. It's
Yep.
what WWE is made for, and he doesn't watch NXT. He apparently the report is he will occasionally watch a takeover. So they come up and you can tell them that they're multi-time NXT tag team champions or NXT champions or whatnot. But to Vince, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care. That's why.
Once you hit the main roster, you start all over again. NXT doesn't matter.
Exactly, you get the reset button. But I agree with you. I think it does. It should feel like that should be a big deal. It's two former NXT champions clashing.
Exactly.
But that's not the way that they see it.
No, not at all. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Diana Michael says, thoughts on NXT potentially signing Nick Hertz? I have no idea who that is.
I have no idea.
Googling live on air.
We're all doing it.
Well, I wasn't. I was going to move on. But not like not in a rude way or anything like that. But I was going to get you to Google it while we chatted.
Luxury real estate agents and brokers. Don't think it's them.
Yeah, I really can't find anything other
Could be.
realty.
Let's move on.
Yeah, we'll do some more research. Well,
Yes.
we'll get Randy to look into that while we're doing the main review. But have we got any other super chats, Randy?
We have just one more from Nelson CEP. No message, but a little donation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Right, well, let's crack on with the main review itself. Because the show opened, this was the start of the new set of tapings because Morrow and Nigel opened the show to announce that Percy Watson has left the commentary booth. I don't think he's going to massively be missed.
No, I wouldn't say so. It's a shame because I didn't hate Percy. I thought he was fine. He was good. That's a shame.
Yeah, but I feel that the replacement is Beth Phoenix. As Morrow said, is the youngest ever WWE Hall of Famer. I just feel that based on this show, Beth is going to fill the role that Percy did, which is I don't know if they said anything on the whole show.
Whoa! Oh, yeah. I've got a quote from Beth later on in the show. You wait. It's a good one.
At the end of it, by the time the show had finished, I'd forgot that Beth was on commentary.
Yeah.
Because I had this with Percy as well. I always notice when Morrow is doing commentary. I always notice when Nigel's doing commentary. But they have been takeovers where I feel like Percy has said nothing the whole show.
Yeah.
Or because they're not adding anything. And again, we've said this about all commentators. It's never their fault. It's the way that they're produced. It's your turn to speak now. You have to say something. Push this. Say this. Do this. And I feel that Morrow and Nigel have got such a good chemistry rapport that they just talk to each other. And then the third person there, the third wheel, essentially just has to wait for someone to say like, "Oh, can you say this now?"
Yeah.
and that's all you get. And it's a real shame as well, because I don't think Percy
shame.
ever really had like much of a chance to do anything else.
No, exactly. I think that the time that I noticed Percy the most when I think Nigel was off because he was like ill or something, so it was just Mauro and Percy, and I was like, oh, Percy's actually a pretty good commentator.
Yeah.
Like, he's not bad.
He does all right.
But yeah, as a third person, he didn't really shine, unfortunately. But
yeah, well, it's 3-man booths for you.
Yeah.
Then we got the Viking Raiders segment with Regal, and we got a recap of Matthew Riddle versus Adam Cole from last week, and a great match that was. And we also, you see the WWE.com clip of Strong and Cole arguing after the match, and Strong taking off his armband and throwing it at Cole and the t-shirt and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then we got an interview with Kathy Kelly.
Oh, just before that, sorry. There was an advert for Money in the Bank, which was quite curious for me because they were showing some of the former cash-ins, and they showed Seth Rollins in his Mania cash-in, and they showed Alexa Bliss. They never showed Ronda Rousey, though, in the thing, because it was Alexa Bliss that cashed in, and she hit Ronda Rousey with a briefcase and then cashed in. All the other cash-ins that they showed who they cashed in on. But Alexa Bliss showed Alexa's coming with the briefcase, and Alexa's pinning Nia Jax, and Alexa wins. And it was just like, why didn't they have Ronda in that thing? It was a weird omission from the video. I was like, huh.
She still is very much on good terms with WWE.
That's what I thought.
She was at the upfronts this week for like the Fox deal.
Exactly,
to, like,
yeah.
represent
So I know
WWE.
she's in the good books. It's like, well, why wouldn't they put her in there? It's Ronda Rousey of all people. Like, I don't know. Like, it was weird.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When the Money in the Bank out, I was using that little forward 10 seconds button.
forward.
Through this.
Yeah.
No, I'm not here to see adverts, mate.
See,
that's what I go to WrestleRamble for.
I had time this morning because I got all my work done yesterday because I was really good. Yeah.
Then we got Kathy Kelly interviewing the Undisputed Era, but without Rodderick Strong. And Cole said, I don't know where Strong is. And then all of a sudden, like, in the background, some guy just runs past them. And Kathy gets a little bit distracted. Cole gets a bit distracted. The cameraman
gets a little, ooh, okay.
And then, like, you're like, oh, okay, that was a bit weird. And then two more people run past. And you're like, what's going on here? And Cole kind of, like, continues his promo, but I'm not really taking any of it in.
Yep.
All of a sudden, Rodderick Strong walks up. And he says, hey, that Matthew Riddle, he ain't going to be a problem anymore. And he holds up a bloody flip-flop. Not as in the way I would say, like a bloody flip-flop, but a flip-flop that was covered in blood.
It was cool, honestly.
It was cool, yeah.
I was super into this.
And then you start putting the pieces together. It's like, Roddy should attack. And that's why they were running
That's why they were running to Riddle.
It's a really well-constructed segment.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
And it genuinely felt like chaotic in a sense of just like, we're just cutting this promo, and these people just start running behind you. You're just like, what? Huh? It feels like a proper world, a lot more than Raw and SmackDown do when it's this person is here and this person is here and they never speak or whatever. They're just in separate parts of the building. This felt like we're cutting a promo here, but meanwhile, this other thing is happening. Obviously, it was part of the segment, and that's why they had it in the same place. But it does make it feel like a lot more of a fleshed out location and world that they have for NXT, which I really like.
Yeah.
Because it makes them feel like real people that are there in a building.
Completely agree. I really like this. Speaking of other things that I like, Keith Lee's back in action.
Oh,
our boy.
Bask in his glory.
WrestleTalk fan Keith Lee was in action against Cezar Benoni. And this was a Hoss match for the short time that it went. It was there because Keith hasn't been around for a little while because that feud he was meant to have with Donovan Dijakovic.
There we go.
Started and then just
Dominic Dijakovic.
What did I say? Oh, Donovan. Oh, so close. Donovan Dijak. I mixed the two names
so
up.
Close.
It started because they had that amazing fight that ended in the double count out, but then Lee got injured and now Dijak is injured. And it just feels like these two are sort of struggling to get back in the ring together. And they kind of like did some teasers for it on TV. They announced it multiple times.
Yeah, they did.
And it's never happened. So this was Keith Lee's first time on TV in feels like ages since he's been back. And this crowd was delighted to see him.
They were. Huge reactions for Lee.
Massive reactions. Big chance of bask in his glory.
Yeah.
This was wonderful.
It was.
I was really happy to see Keith get this reaction.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And I liked on commentary as well. They were saying, we had this feud with Dominic Dijakovic, but Dijakovic is injured now, and Lee was injured before, and now Dijakovic is injured. When will these two get back in the ring together? So it's good that NXT hasn't forgotten about that feud either. And they haven't just been like, well, I guess because Lee's injured, we just won't do that match anymore, and then we'll just move on. It's good that hopefully once Dijakovic is back, they're going to put them back together and actually have that blow-off match. Hopefully at TakeOver.
Yeah. Oh, man, at a TakeOver.
It'd be so good.
so good.
Yeah.
But Benoni sort of beat down Lee kind of early on, but then Lee, he grabs the wrist And boy howdy, did he maintain wrist control.
It was the Okada special right there.
It really was. And then Lee just starts wiping out Benoni with like the bouncer stuff and hits a ginormous spirit bomb for the win.
Yeah, it's so good.
And my notes really are just like, it's so nice to see Keith Lee back in a wrestling ring. It was just great to see him back in NXT.
I loved watching him fire up at the end because he kind of, after he maintained wrist control, and the other guy, Benoni, started to try and hit him down and break that grip he had on his wrist. There we go, words. And then Lee just kind of fired back and started shouting back. It was like, "Whoa!" Just like running up. I was like, "This is awesome! I love Lee."
Lee's amazing.
I love it because he's obviously quite like cocky and confident when he walks down to the ring. He's just like, basking his glory. He's got a nice like swagger to him. And then when he gets serious and he fires up, I'm like, "Yes, I like this even more!" Like, he's great.
Is incredibly charismatic as well, Keith Lee.
Yeah,
an absolute superstar in the making.
He should be.
But he should be, absolutely. Recap of Shayna Baszler getting attacked by Io Shirai last week, and then Kathy Kelly is outside of the office, and that's where they announced that Shayna Baszler is going to defend her NXT Women's Championship against Io Shirai at TakeOver 25.
Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the time to put the belt on.
Definitely should be the time for Shirai. Yeah, absolutely.
It's time for Shirai to shine. You're welcome.
Nope.
Speaking of things that are fine, Kona Reeves, Tesco's finest, is back in action this week, and he's taking on the time splitter himself, Kushida. I don't think I noticed this the first time when I was watching the entrance of Kushida. But yeah, it's the wrist tap that he does. So he does this big entrance, and it's got these sort of like purple lights and everything, and he's wearing the Back to the Future Part 2 glasses and things like that. And then he gets up onto the top rope, and then he looks at his watch, which is tape. It's wrist tape with a clock drawn on it, the same as the Hill Valley clock. And he taps it, and the lights go out. I didn't notice this last time. And then he looks at it again, taps it again, and the lights go back up. I was like, this is the best thing ever. This rules. I love this.
See, I watched that, and he did the tapping thing, and the lights went down, and then tapped it, the lights came back up, and I was like, that was a bit weird. That was a bit unnecessary, really, wasn't it?
Loved it. And then Mauro was sort of about what he said, 1.21 gigawatts. It's 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21.
Come on, Mauro. It's the way it's said.
Yeah.
And Nigel's making his Back to the Future stuff. Like, I mean, I love Kushida anyway because I think Kushida is an incredible wrestler. Like, he is so good. The match, like, check out any of his matches from the Best of the Super Juniors, like last year and the year previous, I believe it was, and the match he had with Will Ospreay last year for the Junior Heavyweight Championship. Just like mind-blowingly great stuff. Yeah. I'm also a massive Back to the Future fan. In fact, I'm wearing a Back to the Future t-shirt today in honor of Kushida, because I think Kushida's great, and it's Back to the Future Part 2, which is one of my faves. And this was a lot of fun. This was Kushida, essentially just another showcase match for him. They've completely given up on Kona Reeves.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
He had that 2-week push, and like the main roster, they've just given up on him. It's been like, he's not getting over. Let's be done with this.
It's really strange because when I watched Reeves make his entrance, I was like, there's nothing outwardly wrong about it. I'm not looking at it, I'm just like, oh, this is rubbish. Why is he even here? Like, oh, it's terrible. I'm like, no, he's decent. Like, he's not great, but like, he's not terrible. Like, I've definitely seen worse people pushed than him before. So Baron Corbin. And I wouldn't say he's like, I wouldn't say it's unfair, the treatment he's getting, because I wouldn't say that. But I think he does need to improve just that little bit more before we can start taking him seriously. But, like, he's not bad. I'll give him that. Yeah. He's not bad.
He's just not the finest.
Exactly. No, he's definitely not the finest.
Do you know what it is? I think I know why it is you're not connecting with him. It's not tapping his wrists when he gets
definitely
into the
that.
ring. And the lights don't go out when he does it.
Of course.
That's the key to it. That's how you get over in NXT.
This match was where I had my quote from Beth Phoenix, which I really enjoyed. It's great fun. So it's quite a common thing, which is like you have a smaller guy, you want to take the bigger guy down so you can, work him over on the floor because then they can't use their power as well. Great quote from Beth when she said, "It's a great strategy from Kushida. You're not 6'8" when you're on the ground."
Hey, she's got a point. I mean,
you are 6'8" when you're on the ground. You're just lying down. You're still 6'8".
Still 6'8", though, aren't you?
I know what she meant. Bit of wrong wording, but
bless
she
her.
tried.
I think Nigel corrected her as well. She said the same thing. It's like, but in a smarter way of saying it.
Smarter way in that.
Bless her heart. Not
she tried.
she does try.
Yeah.
What a warrior. And I would say as well, one of the reasons I really like this match is that this is the total opposite of a main roster big guy versus little guy match. Like you look at Ricochet, Baron Corbin from Raw, or any of Finn Balor's matches last year, which is just that the taller lad is bigger. Obviously, the taller lad just does the big stuff, and then the smaller guy does some flip-de-doos and tries to get out of it. This was very back and forth, and it was all about Kushida working very smartly to get Kona Reeves down to size, using his quickness to his advantage. And it just was really nice to see. This is what I like. This is what you want to see. Well, for me personally, this is what I want to see from the big guy versus little guy matches.
Absolutely, because it puts them on an equal footing. It's not like, well, the big guy is obviously better and the small guy has so many odds to overcome. It's just like, no, they just wrestle in different styles because they're different sizes.
Yeah.
That's all it is. The big guy does big power moves and the small guy has the speed and agility, and they both work in equal ways. They're both as good strategies as each other.
Yeah.
It works so well when they do it properly.
I like the fact that...
Just do it better.
Just do it better. I like the fact that Kushida took over with cartwheels and handsprings. Like, that was basically his comeback was cartwheels and handsprings. Including doing a handspring at one point as a kick. It was great.
It was
just
really
went up to
cool.
him, just did the handspring and booted him in the face.
Yeah.
It was terrific. And then he did the penalty kick and locked in the locked in, and then locked in the hoverboard lock for the win. But really, the story of this is that Drew Gulak came out onto the stage to stare down Kushida. So I am thinking that we'll end up with Kushida versus Drew Gulak on the pre-show essentially for TakeOver 25, which will then air the following week on NXT TV. So it'll feel like a big time match because it'll be in front of a big crowd, but it won't be on the TakeOver show itself. It'll be on the week after.
Yeah, and hopefully they get a little bit of time for that because I think that could be a really good match.
Me too, absolutely. That will be a stretchy match because they will be doing various amounts of submissions to try and stretch each other out.
I've got in my notes in a much larger font, Kushida to 205 Live confirmed.
That's a terrible
That's a terrible idea.
We had
Don't do
was
that.
it a super chat or was it an email? I think it was a super chat that came in yesterday that was like, oh yeah, we had a really good time at SmackDown, but we had to sit through an hour of 205 Live to get into the dark match. I'm like, this is how people look at 205.
Because my friends went to the show. It wasn't the dark match they had to wait for. They had to wait for the main event of SmackDown. And they put 205 Live in the middle of it.
Oh, was that what it was?
So weird, because they did the whole show, then 205 Live, and then the main event of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus whoever it was.
It was just the Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston confrontation.
No, what was the main event match on SmackDown?
There wasn't a main event match. There was just they did the KO show with Kofi Kingston, and Kevin Owens came down and they brawled, and Sami Zayn ran down. And they had a big schmoz and ended up with Kofi standing tall. That was what ended the show.
Ignore everything I'm saying.
It was a dark match then.
It was a dark match.
Okay, right.
My friends told me wrong. Never mind.
Got that cleared up. Thank God for that.
Screw you, Liam and Dave and Richie. You guys suck.
Bianca Belair was forcing Charlie Caruso backstage because she was like, you can speak to William Regal. You can get the match changed. Like, he'll listen to you.
Yeah.
And she's trying, and he's like, make sure your microphone's on. We'll do this as a big interview segment. But Mia Yim was walking out of Regal's office. And Bianca Belair kind of pushed Kathy Kelly to one side, which makes me hate Bianca Belair even more.
Yep.
And
dare you put your hands on Kathy Kelly.
How dare you? And then Mia Yim said that she wasn't trying to get a title shot against Shayna Baszler. She was looking to get a rematch against Bianca Belair because Bianca Belair cheated to win last week.
Absolutely.
Nice little segment here. Then Bianca Belair was like, come on, Kathy, we're going to go speak to Regal. And she walks in and just shuts the door on Kathy Kelly. Proper dick move. I thought Belair was terrific in this segment.
I thought it was great, and it would work so well. Why can't Kathy Kelly open the door?
I think she was she was indignant that the door was closed. I don't know if that's the right word, but she was just more shocked that the door was closed.
I guess so, yeah. It just looked funny to me because we'd seen earlier Forgotten Sons just walk in. Bianca Belair can just walk into the door, and she shuts the door on Kathy Kelly, and she's just like, oh no, a door! I'm completely stopped now. I can't go any further.
It's like the aliens from Signs. Oh no, a door! We've made a planet that's 60% water, and that's our weakness. Terrible film.
Yeah, right.
Which has a good first 2/3. But anyway, to be honest, I'm on Kathy Kelly's side on this because I think if that had happened to me, I was just like, bollocks to you. I'm not doing the interview.
Oh no, absolutely. If Kathy had just been like, all right, fair enough, and just walked away, that would have been fine. But she just stood there just like, huh?
What? And now what? We then see Riddle being looked at by the medical staff, and Gargano is there kind of looking out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we find out what Johnny Gargano announces, that he's going to be taking on Adam Cole for the NXT Championship at TakeOver 25, which should be terrific.
Hope so. I really don't know what's going to happen with Strong. With that.
Rodderick Strong.
Yeah. Really don't know what's going to happen with that, because they're supposedly all buddy buds now. Because Strong did that thing with Riddle.
He's back in the Undisputed Era. That's right. Actually, we didn't mention that. Sorry, you're absolutely right. We didn't mention that in the other segment. Is that Roddy essentially rejoined the Undisputed Era?
Cole gave him his armband back, and they were all like, "Come on, let's go get a burrito or whatever his Undisputed Era do."
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'd love to get a burrito with Cole and Kyle O'Reilly.
That'd be amazing. So they all walked off happy as Larry, and they're all friends again. Yay. I just can't see it lasting. I hope it does. I really hope it does. Yeah. But I just think something's going to happen at TakeOver, and Roddy Strong's going to cost him or something.
Very interesting year for the era.
Yeah.
Up next, we had the other match that we'll talk about on this, which was Vanessa Bourne versus Jessie, not the toy from Toy Story 2. But Jessie, who apparently was in the Mae Young Classic. I don't think I watched this Mae Young Classic.
No, I mustn't have. And also, Jessie has the worst entrance music I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Because the music started playing and I was like, right, this must be some sort of build-up for something else. And then it just carried on and I was like, what? This isn't entrance music. What's happening?
It's going nowhere.
It's various noises. It's not a song. It's not me. What? It was terrible. It was awful.
I've forgotten it completely, so it had no effect on me. I can't even tell you a single thing about it. I'll be honest with you. If you had a lineup and Jessie was in that lineup, I don't think I could point her out.
No, I don't think I could either, if I'm honest.
I would struggle at the very least.
Yeah. It was various electronic noises was what I'd call her music. It was awful.
EDM.
See, I don't mind EDM. I listen to EDM sometimes. This was awful.
I don't really know
this was terrible.
I just know those 3 words. Or letters, rather, that spell out a word. Anyway, Jessie tried to roll up. There was some interference from Aaliyah, who was down there with Bourne. But this was really just to get Bourne a win, because her and Aaliyah have been losing a lot as of late. So just to give Bourne a win. Nothing really there. I guess it's also for some character work for Nigel, because he loves Vanessa Bourne, because she's a very got an eye on you, and it's it was there. It was fine.
It was there. Yeah. As soon as Bourne and Aaliyah came out, I wrote in my notes, "Oh, it's Bourne versus Candice LeRae. Awesome, great." And then Candice LeRae didn't come out, and I was like, "Damn it." That's unfortunate. This is carrying on.
So that was, that was this week's NXT, which I thought was a very good show. And it wasn't really a lot to the show, to be honest with you. It was 3 enhancement matches and the big stuff with the Viking Raiders and Street Profits. But I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Loved seeing Keith Lee back in the ring. Always happy to see Kushida. So actually, very much enjoyed this week's show.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun for what it was. It wasn't a huge groundbreaking show by any means, but it did what it needed to. It built more matches for the next TakeOver. Solid. It was good. Yeah.
This did more with its hour storyline than SmackDown did with its 2 hours.
Yep.
But that's, now it's over to Randy Datson for our Super Chats to get us out of here.
Yes. We'll start with Jade Lie Roxon, who won't stop asking me to wear my girlfriend messaged me during this to say I agree with her. So I'm still not going to do it.
Magazine.
I'm still not going to do it. Arnie K said, Arnie says, by the way, I am Arnie K.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I think we reference that.
We know that. Small Afro Games says, isn't Nick Hertz just the N-word? And I don't know what that means.
No.
No idea.
Jeff Senzibao says nothing but a dill donation.
Thank you very much.
And Nelson CEP, who has been pestering me to read this out, and I kept telling him we'll read it out later, says McIntyre to win Universal title at SummerSlam, ?
Certainly he's not out of the realms of possibility.
No.
I don't think he's on that level now, because they've done everything they possibly could to make him not feel special.
Yeah.
So I'd say no for now, but all it's going to take is a couple of weeks. Look at Kofi Kingston. Kofi, 3 weeks, but a week before Elimination Chamber, was nowhere near. He was in an arse's roar of the WWE Championship picture.
Exactly.
All it took was one episode to completely turn that ship around.
Yeah, exactly.
And make him like one of the biggest stars in the company. So all it's going to take is a couple of weeks.
McIntyre has the potential. They need to believe in him, push him properly, book him properly. And I would very much like it because I like McIntyre a lot. I don't see it happening at this SummerSlam, but maybe by Survivor Series they could do it properly, or maybe by next Mania. Who knows? Yeah. But I'd like it at some point.
Yeah, just not now.
Not now.
Tomo says, did you guys know that I love the SWAF Nation? Totally not turning heel or anything.
Oh, good.
Well, that's nice.
That is nice to hear.
We all love the SWAF Nation, yes.
We do.
We love them as well.
Sawyer says, NXT Twitter just confirmed the tag team titles have been officially vacated.
There you go. Saying it's been
right.
officially, yeah.
It'd be
nice
nice
if they confirmed that on the show, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of them just going, here's titles bow, cut.
Yeah, cut.
Cut to black.
Cut to that now.
End of show.
Rated R King 22 says, how long do you think it will take for WWE to rebrand, name Kushida like they did with Punishment Martinez? I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. And I think within NXT as well, it's their own choice.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, it's their own choice. Like, they're given the option, do you want to keep the name or do you want to change it? Do you want to try and rebrand yourself? So, yeah, I could certainly see. And I think Kushida is quite happy with his brand and his time splitter gimmick, so I don't think they're going to be rebranding him anytime soon.
Absolutely
He could join the Kabuki Warriors.
How dare you?
You're daft racist.
No, apparently Asuka has tweeted to explain the name of Kabuki Warriors. I can read that very quickly. Kabuki Mono, Sengoku or Edo period eccentric who attracted public attention with their eye-catching clothes, peculiar hairstyle, and weird behavior.
This doesn't stop the fact that Kairi Sane's a bloody pirate, though, does it?
No.
It's definitely a pirate.
And Paige is Paige.
Good try, Asuka.
Paige here.
Paige here.
Yeah.
Again, it applies to Asuka, who is 1/3 of this act.
Yeah.
It still makes no sense.
Kabuki Pirates.
That would at least make sense.
It would be terrible, but it would at least make sense.
Dreadful, but at least it would make sense.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we'll get next week at the
Kabuki
Xbox
yachts.
game. Kabuki yachts. I'm happy with that. Kabuki ships.
Yeah.
Like Kabuki cannonball. Yeah. Anything. Kabuki parrots. Like, as long as it's bloody pirate related, I don't care.
Yar. Insane Ninja says Saturday is a Raw pay-per-view, Sunday's SmackDown pay-per-view. Any thoughts on that? My thoughts are no.
No. Oh, God,
no.
No, thank you.
No.
Love the enthusiasm. Love the fact you've donated. Love the fact that you had the idea, but absolutely no. No.
Categorically
no. It was bad enough when they were 2 weeks apart from each other. That's dark timeline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
On the same weekend would be horrific.
Yeah, that would be genuinely dreadful.
Evie Duran says, get well, Laurie and Ollie. Great to see Pete, though. What match are you most looking forward to at Money in the Bank? Hashtag Chopper Pete merch. Hashtag Chopper for the win.
He is a nice
I had no idea Michelle was called Evie Duran.
Yeah, who knew? Yeah.
We love Pete. Pete's a good guy.
We love Pete.
We do love Pete.
He's great. Love him.
I think Pete's the best. Genuinely do. Match I'm most looking forward to. We sort of said this yesterday. I'm Seth and AJ. I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can go wrong with the Money in the Bank ladder match, as Ollie pointed out yesterday. So I think and to be honest, I think there's a lot of stuff on the card you look at and you're like, that's a good match. That's going to be a good match. That's going to be a good match.
Yep.
I think it's actually going to be a fun show. Probably too long, but I think it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, and I personally, I'm most looking forward to the men's Money in the Bank match. I think that's going to be class. Seth AJ is going to be great. I'm actually looking forward to Shane Miz in a cage. Because, I mean, they put on a show-stealing match at WrestleMania. And who would have predicted that?
Didn't they just?
So I really, really looking forward to their cage match, honestly. So
there just needs to be Miz Dad's interference. If there is no Miz Dad interference, it is a negative 5-star match.
He just walks up to the door when the cage. Shane opens it and just stands there.
Oh no, he's got to do the fist, right? He's got to go in there and do the fist, and Shane's like, I don't want to do this.
No.
I don't want to break any more ribs. So
Elias runs down for the interference, and Miz Dad beats him up and chases off Elias. That's definitely going to happen.
Instead of a guitar.
Ukulele.
Yeah.
I still wish we could build to Miz and Miz Dad versus Shane and Vince.
Oh my god,
love that so
incredible.
much. That'd be tremendous.
I was going to say something, but I can't remember what it was. Danny, your boy DeVito, says Street Profit versus Crime Time? ?
Crime Time are tagging it, aren't they, on the independent scene?
Apparently.
Yeah. I believe they are anyway. I think they're still friends. So,
Sure.
And also, Pete, the other day you said you weren't looking forward to Seth versus AJ, and in fact you said you weren't looking forward to the pay-per-view at all.
Well, okay.
He's very two-faced, is Pete.
No, that's not what it is. I said that, in theory, this should be a really good card, and it's got some really good matches on it. I'm just really burnt out on WWE, and I don't care that much.
Yeah,
that's the main problem. Whereas, now, I think I'll probably enjoy myself if I watch it, but I'm not like, oh my god, it's Seth versus AJ, which I definitely should be. Yeah. Like, maybe a couple years ago, I've been like, wow, dream match, kind of, amazingness. But now I'm just like, oh, Seth versus AJ, cool.
Yeah.
It also 11 matches long, including 2 ladder matches, one of which will just be spot. Small Afro Games with our last message, who is?
Jaron Walker.
Says, chances of Drew winning the briefcase. He only says, I'd cry. I don't know if that means he'd be so happy or he'd be really sad.
I don't see Drew. Maybe Drew is one of the shots. I don't think Corbin's winning. I don't think Corbin's winning.
No.
I don't think Sammy is winning.
Nope.
I don't think that Ricochet is winning.
Nope.
Who else in the match?
Andrade
is the one I think has got the most likely chance. But I think if it's not Andrade, then I think it could be Drew.
Yeah.
I think when you've got 2 babyface champions as well, you probably do want a heel winning.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think if it's not Andrade, I think it could be Drew.
Yeah. I put those 2 probably top 2. Who else is in the match other than them?
Balor.
Oh, he's not winning.
Ali and Randy Orton. I don't think it's going to be Randy.
No. Yeah, so I'd say those 2 are probably the most likely. I want Andrade. My heart is saying Andrade, and I think logically it should be Andrade. But I wouldn't be mad if Drew won.
Yeah.
I would not be mad. Because if that's a way to elevate him back into the Universal title picture, I'm okay with that. Because I want Drew in the Universal title picture because he's great.
And we're going to use this as a nice little segue to plug Money in the Bank this coming Sunday, because we're going to be doing a live stream of that show. Myself and Laurie, hopefully, if he's well enough, are going to be here. We're going to be watching the show live. We're going to be reacting to it live like we did over WrestleMania weekend, then doing a ramble afterwards. So actually, we're doing the show live, and then an hour after it ends, or like half an hour after it ends, we're going to do another WrestleRamble where we're going to review the full show. So you get a full-on post-WrestleMania, post-Money in the Bank review with myself and Laurie. We're really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
But Luke, what if they wanted to involve themselves in some kind of predictions league for Money in the Bank, which kind of carries over a number of pay-per-views?
That's an excellent question, Randy, and thankfully I have an answer for you. You can join Wrestle League, which is our predictions warfare over on Patreon, where you can join in and predict against us, against the WrestleTalk crew for a chance to win prizes over the season period. The season is running up until SummerSlam. It started at WrestleMania. We've got Money in the Bank. We have got Double or Nothing. We've got NXT 25. We have got Dominion coming up in just a few short weeks. Stomping Grounds is going to be happening. So we've got a lot of pay-per-views between now and when we get to SummerSlam. So it's going to be a fun time for all of us. And the loser will end up doing a punishment video, which is always good, jolly good fun. And our predictions for Money in the Bank will be going live tomorrow on the WrestleTalk YouTube channel. So we're going to go record it very, very shortly, but it's going to be tomorrow for you fine folks.
Indeed.
Is that all we got, Randy?
That is all we've got. So
fantabulous.
Yes, it's time to shout out to some of our $25 and above Patreon pledge hammers. If you want to be part of those and join Wrestle League, head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, and you can get your name shouted out in the WrestleRamble in a fun little format with a fun little nickname that I sometimes, in fact, I always have to come up with, and that's why sometimes they're very laboured and a bit rubbish. Like this one, Jeremy Spoken. Class today, Smith, and you get a round of applause.
Yeah.
Hallamania Patrick Hall.
There he is. Hallamania.
Cool like a summer breeze. Chris Summerfield.
Hey, lovely stuff. Scott Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
He's better than Deadpool.
Like a ninja, Shadow Noskoviak.
Hey, good effort.
Cliff Bridges over troubled waters.
I didn't even sing it, Randy. It's your gimmick. You didn't even sing it. And the Rob Steiner recliner. It's a tough move. Can't get out of it.
Good. Better than Bill Dennis Hicks.
Every time I read that one out. Yep.
Big sexy Jimmy Genslinger.
Oh, hell yes, big sexy. Fallen down a Darian Wells.
Laboured. Jezek Maxwell Silver Hammer.
It's another song that no one sung. I keep giving people songs, they don't sing them.
I don't know
Duncan. Just Duncan.
Yeah! Just Duncan. It's a Beatles song. Ollie missed that one as well. The incredible Tarzo.
Yeah.
Oh, he is incredible.
Nate Drop surname.
I don't get it. It's a Patreon reporting thing, and it made me laugh.
Michael Charles Montgomery Burns.
Oh, excellent. That
Excellent.
is all we've got time for on this episode of the WrestleRamble. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for watching. Click the videos that have just appeared on our laps, on this desk rather, if you are watching this on Catch Up, and you can catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things. I have been Luke Owen. This has been Pete Quinnell. That was Randy Andy Datson, and that were wrestling.